So the second and last match of today, it's the semi-final between the number 9 seed from Argentina, Guillermo Coria, and the number 6 seed from the United States, Agassi. Agassi was put in to serve by Coria, so he chose the end nearest our main camera. Serving with the slight breeze that is still present, but that's all it is, a breeze, unlike yesterday's wind, which in fact was coming from the opposite end. Best of 3 tie-break sets. Well, there are 1 or 2 people still settling into their seats.
Let primo servicio. Love 15.
Well, it happens to even the great men.
Zero 30, last 30.
Well, what a terrible start.
Couldn't be any worse, could it? I don't think there's any doubt that Agassi will want to be the aggressor in the vast majority of rallies, if at all possible. Anything dropped short by Coria will be dealt with appropriately.
Well, not the start he wanted at all, Agassi. Coria doing little more than getting the ball over and allowing Agassi to hurt himself.
Of course, that's going to be the big battle, I think, today. It's going to be the consistency of Coria. I'm sure he's going to try and keep the unforced error count down as low as possible. He's going to be pushed probably a little deeper behind the baseline than his opponent. And he's going to try and hit the ball a little higher over the net, a little bit more topspin, and get a higher percentage perhaps of first serves in, because he won't be hitting it as hard as his opponent. Whereas Agassi, on the other hand, I think will try and play a little bit further up the baseline, try and hit the ball a little more aggressively and dictate the vast majority of points.
And the lovely Carla, Guillermo's wife, a student still, but he said that she's suspended her studies to be with him on the road at all these events, and her presence is a great help to him, he says. Well, how extraordinary. You don't often see that, do you? Both men starting with a double fault.
Well, of course, all great clay court players, particularly the right-handed ones, love that forehand inside out. Nice to drop it short up the court in order to create a little bit more angle. No doubt about the fact that Agassi will definitely try and flatten his shots out as often as he can in order to beat Coria for pace.
Well, we were talking about unforced errors, and I think that is what is going to decide Coria's fate today, and Agassi's too, for that matter, because he will be blazing away. Well, that's rather typical of what has been happening to him this year. When he was in the middle of that 31 match-winning streak last year, he hardly made unforced errors. He was very mean.
And the one shot that he's really had a lot of trouble with this year has been the serve. Of course, he underwent arthroscopic surgery on the shoulder last year, but that last serve, only 171 kilometers an hour, not earning any cheap points with it really this year. And he used to use it in order to set up the point very effectively as well, but it's not working anywhere near as he would like it to. It's so important to keep a better length than that when you're taking on the veteran American.
Well, as Pallas knows, it was in Toronto last year that Coria first hurt his shoulder, and he had to retire against Horner in the middle of the match, and didn't play again until the end of the year, having had arthroscopic surgery. And I think the decision of Coria to play in the Tennis Masters Cup last year was a surprise to me.
He certainly struggled in order to play half decent in the matches because he was serving at probably quarter pace and lost all three of his encounters very comfortably.
Of course, he had earned his place and I suppose felt that it was his right to be there, but he certainly couldn't perform to any standard. And would it be cynical to suggest that the prize money may have had something to do with it?
Well, that was the only thing that was better at the end of the week than it was at the beginning, the size of his bank account. So perhaps that did have something to do with it. But the drop shot here was a well-used shot in all of his matches throughout the week, but particularly I think would be a good weapon to use against Agassi, who doesn't move particularly well on this surface.
Are we going to see 3 breaks in a row? Not if Agassi can help it.
Well, again, he got the upper hand in the rally very early because of the quality of the serve. He'll use the topspin serve or the kick serve most of the time out to the right-hand side, and then he likes to just hit into the spaces. 90% of the time you'll see him do that. Try and get the opponent moving as much as possible, and it worked well for him there.
Well, that's what he does. He hustles all his opponents, standing on or just behind the baseline, taking the ball early. Anything short, he'll thunder into the corners. And he's always been an exciting player for that reason, because he commits wholeheartedly. No pussyfooting about for Agassi.
I think sometimes that's cost him a few matches over the course of his career. The fact that he hasn't been willing to change his game plan when things haven't been working as he would have wanted them to.
Yes, he's stubborn, which is also why he's won so much.
Well, some good defensive play by Agassi there. Coria trying to pepper the American's forehand. Didn't work because, again, he couldn't keep good enough length and he was beaten by pace. And Agassi played back behind Coria and then, of course, sensibly going into the open court once he got an opportunity.
I once asked Leonard Bergelin what he thought was the best quality about Bjorn Borg, who he coached for years. And he said, bloody-mindedness. And you knew what he meant, the fact that Borg would simply refuse to lose. And he won some extraordinary matches from perilous situations, he did. A great match player.
Well, that's going to be a shot, I think, that Agassi needs to work well for him this afternoon if he's going to beat Coria. The backhand down the line. Coria will be happy to rally cross-court with Agassi most of the afternoon, backhand to backhand. So if Agassi can successfully change direction on the ball over the high part of the net, then it's certainly a shot which will bring him an awful lot of cheap points.
Another unforced error from Coria. He's got to keep those down. So, after two breaks, one hold, Agassi, 2-1.
Well, I think hitting the ball as cleanly and as crisply as I've seen him for a number of years, particularly on this surface, and it was so good to see him in Europe relatively early on this year. Never, of course, comes over from Monte Carlo. That means he'd have to stay in Europe for a good 3 months or so, given the fact that after the French Open they then have to, of course, or most of them tend to go over to England to get some practice on grass. If Agassi in the past had tended to lose early in this particular tournament, sometimes like last year, he then goes home and then just comes back for the French Open, and it becomes impossible to compete with the best players in the world for the American on this surface if he doesn't get enough matches under his belt. He was very rusty in his first round here this week, but I think his match against Gasquet was very important. He got really psyched up. He's playing against one of the best players in the world, who's only 18 years of age, who of course had done so well at Monte Carlo, and I think that gave him a great deal of confidence, and he's gone on to greater and better things thereafter.
Early stages, but already a suggestion that we're going to have a dual baseline battle today. Command of that area will be what they're both trying to establish. And we're going to have some spectacular shot making, unquestionably, from both. Who will prevail? Well, I have no idea.
Grazie.
And we're coming up to that time of day when the shadow becomes a real problem creeping across the court. It's not easy when the ball's coming in and out of the shadows.
It reminds me of the US Open final, of course. It's played about 4 o'clock in the afternoon in very similar conditions. Of course, Coria has yet to experience that.
Of course, in that case, it is the superstructure of the scoreboard that imposes itself as a shadow across the court. No trees high enough for that giant stadium to be the problem. 24,000 people in that bowl.
It is difficult for the players to pick the ball up sometimes, coming out of the shadow. And in about 10 or 15 minutes or so, it'll be pretty much halfway across the court, and it'll be very trying circumstances for both.
Coria.
Well played, Coria. I mean, logic says that Coria at his best on clay should beat Agassi, who hasn't excelled on that surface. True, he was in 2 French Open finals against Gomez and Coria before he finally won against Medvedev. But he's never really excelled on clay. But it's not Coria yet at his best. He's getting there. I think it is Agassi at his best or near it.
Undoubtedly. I haven't seen him hit the ball as crisply or as cleanly as this for quite a while, and given the fact that he's playing on his least favourite surface, it's phenomenal. Of course, the conditions this afternoon, I think, suit his game. The fact that it's not that windy, he can step up the court, take the ball on. I was just wondering whether you thought Agassi would have mentioned that fact to Coria before the match. You know, sorry to hear what happened to you in the final of the French Open last year. Almost happened to me, but I just managed to win mine in 5 sets.
Psychological warfare. Why not? valiant try, a lunge there, but unavailing.
Well, when Coria played in the final of Monte Carlo against Nadal, he used the drop shot to good effect. Didn't quite get the right result on that particular day, but I think against Agassi it can be a very useful weapon if played at the appropriate time, because the American certainly does struggle to slide, and of course that's so important as you're scrambling up to the net in order to try and get the ball back in play.
As always in those long baseline battles, it's a mental war going on.
Agassi.
Well, that's a nice way to finish, isn't it? With your first ace, having opened the match with your first double fault. Agassi ahead, 3-2.
What I find interesting at the moment with Coria is the way that he's trying to kid himself and build up his confidence in the press conferences after his matches. People often ask him how he's feeling, especially compared to that tremendous run he put together at this time last year. And he puts on a brave face and says, yes, I'm feeling just as good as I did last year. I'm hitting the ball just as well. Everything's great. And it's very hard to buy into that, because I was watching a rerun of the Monte Carlo final when he beat Rainer Schuttler a couple of weeks ago, and he was hitting the ball, I think, a little harder, a little more aggressively, particularly off the forehand and off the first serve. They were the two shots that were working really well for him, and he was giving away so few free points, and I think it's not quite the same now.
Yes, you were watching it a few weeks ago. It was last year, of course, that final.
Yes, absolutely right.
Well, how long will it take this great clay court artist to regain the magic of last year? It might take him quite a while. The history of people coming back from injuries suggests that you don't immediately get back in form. It sometimes takes a full year, and it happened last August. So, you know, you can't expect too much too soon. But there are good signs here that Coria, over the last few weeks we've been watching him, is beginning to regain the confidence.
Win decision. 15 love.
Gosh darn it, yes. We all know how he feels.
It's definitely an area of his game that he struggles with when brought up the court. Normally players here would slide into that particular shot. You can see, though, he didn't feel comfortable when he got there. Not imparting enough spin on the ball for it to dip inside the opposing baseline.
That's the refusal to budge, you see. Almost had to half volley that because he's planted himself on the baseline and said, I am not moving. I'm going to run you around. Rather like a squash player likes to command the center of the court and make his opponent run all the way around the edges. Well, absolutely no impression on the Coria serve there. Good Agassi make.
3 games over.
Carla pretty pleased, I would think, with that service game.
Condition 0. 15 love.
There you are again, you see, wouldn't budge.
15 on.
Had to half volley a very good deep return. Forced into error. Just the slightest hint of frustration creeping in here. The crowd absolutely love him, though. Oh dear, oh dear.
15, 40.
Yes,
15, 40.
the shadows, he's saying. You can't time the ball properly out of them. Well, that's what we were talking about. It's not easy. That's a good serve.
30, 40. 30, 40.
Oh, that's too good. Magnificent lob at exactly the right moment. And after 2 breaks of serve to open this match, one straight after the other, another break, and it's Coria 4-3.
Well, that was terrific play as far as Coria is concerned. He has one of the best double-handed backhand lobs in the business, and he's also been able to serve extremely well in this particular match. He's made 11 of 13 first serves, and you can see he's mixing things up nicely, serving occasionally to Agassi's forehand in the juice court, and quite a lot into the body actually in the ad side, but he'll be very, very pleased with the amount of first serves he's been able to get in. But of course Agassi is having a little bit of success on that Coria second serve, as you would expect. Agassi, on the other hand, as he always likes to do, serves the vast majority of his serves to the opponent's backhand, first serve and second serve, just the occasional slice serve out wide on the right-hand side of your screen to the juice court. But he's not been that effective. He's only winning 56% of points when the first serve goes in, but crucially, only 42% of points when he's down to his weaker delivery. So full marks to Coria for taking advantage of that. The shadows almost halfway across the court at the moment, something that's been troubling Agassi of late. And the players will have to wait a good 20 or 30 minutes until it covers the court completely, and the floodlights therefore of course will be on, but at the moment there's no need for that, as half of the court and half of the crowd still bathed in sunshine. New balls. as Coria attempts to make the most of that break of serve, leading 4-3. Well, Agassi not even attempting to chase down that particular drop shot. Again, the disguise was exquisite. The American reading the fact that Coria was attempting to play that particular shot at that particular time.
30-0. Third love.
Poor game from Agassi. Some cheap points, allowing Coria to really make the most of his advantage at the moment.
Gioca Coria. Coria conduce 5-3, 5-3.
It's a run of 3 games for the Argentine. Be very pleased indeed with the way that he's been able to keep his unforced errors in check. Just 5 so far.
Love 15.
All going wrong now for Agassi, and the frustration of the shadow is apparent. It's spoiling his timing.
$15.
2 aces now.
Coria just giving the drop shot a little too much air, and this time Agassi had anticipated well, and he managed to get up there in plenty of time, contacting the ball pretty much knee height, which gave him an awful lot of options in choosing the correct one.
Primo servicio.
He's fighting the frustration well, and I'm sure Cahill and he discussed the fact that there could be shadows appearing. But he didn't move for that one at all. Whether that was because it was coming out of his head, I don't know.
It certainly appeared that he picked the ball up pretty late, and if there is a side that you do try and expose when you're playing against Agassi, it's that movement to the forehand.
Don't often see him unbalanced, do you?
Parità deuce.
He's fighting himself here. Well, he thinks that serve was a fault, really. If he thought that, he should have caught it at the time and said to Mohamed Layani, come and look at it. Well played, Agassi. Cheers from the crowd here. They love him. Lots of banners, lots of cheers. And it's Agassi keeping the set alive. Coria, 5-4.
So important for Agassi there to get a game under his belt and just try and rebuild that confidence. We've been shocked to have lost his serve in that 7th game, and of course Coria won very comfortable service games either side of that, so did well to stem the flow there. Perhaps a little disgruntled because he started the match in exceptionally good form, but it's been Coria who's been able to play the more consistent of the two competitors. Agassi, of course, making almost 3 times as many unforced errors as Coria. Coria with 8 winners and just 6 free points gifted to the opposition. And that's, of course, his great strength, playing solidly from the back of the court, moving well, picking the right shot selection at the right time. He's used the drop shot to great effect so far, and perhaps that's just disturbed Agassi's concentration a little. So full marks to Coria, who now, I'm sure, would want to try and keep that high percentage of first serves going just for one more all-important game.
Well, he'll be serving now with shadows to worry about. Agassi is finding this a problem. 5-4, 4 points away from taking the opening set. There'll be 3 breaks. The first and second games were breaks for serve, so was the 7th game. Got him. What a great defensive display from Coria, who Agassi thinks is the fastest man about the court, but he showed us some speed there.
And he showed us some terrific defensive capability. And then having the presence of mind once he got back in the rally and forced Agassi to play defensively off that backhand to be able to throw in the short angle cross court. Terrific stuff.
Well, he can certainly be pleased with himself for that rally.
Agassi's having to work hard and win the rally 2 or 3 times over. Because he's certainly getting the upper hand in the rally early on. Both the first 2 points of this particular game. Coria is defending well, throwing the ball up nice and high, which is a good tactic to use. Gives you a little bit more time to get back. But then most players would then just come into the net and take the ball out of the air, thus giving the opponent less time to recover. But Agassi instead deciding to stay on the baseline and keep the rally going from there.
can't just give a ball as invitingly as that, so short, with the Agassi forehand. He'll do that all day.
15, 30.
Interesting what you were saying, though. I mean, the philosophers say that man gravitates towards his greatest centre of happiness. And for Agassi, I think that is the baseline.
Is that why I always see he's surrounded by so many beautiful women, Jake?
Wonderful. Wonderful early ball hitting, taking the opportunities, creating them in that case with footwork. Excellent footwork.
15, 14. That's it.
A better quality second serve. Agassi, of course, looking to try and use the forehand once more, but the Coria serve has been poor in this game. He's missed the first serve, and the seconds have dropped way too short. Again, a sign of tension in the arm of the Argentine.
Got his break back, putting the pressure in the mind of Coria quite wonderfully well with those flashing winners during the course of that game. Well, you'll never learn anything watching Cahill. Behind the shades of unblinking eyes. So we're level, 5-all.
Zero 15. Love 15.
What a pass.
One of the best exponents in the game of the backhand passing shot under extreme pressure, Coria. Never really tries to go for an outright winner. He will use the top hand, the left hand in this instance, to get the ball back lower than the height of the net, causing all sorts of problems for the opposition.
Primo servicio.
That was a great risk to try an outright winner from there. I think that suggests that he is just a little bit confused about how to play this match. 3 break points. Refusing to compromise can cost you. There are times when you simply have to just get the ball back. Coria now with a break again, 6-5.
It's so interesting when you watch Agassi play on almost any other surface. He looks comfortable, he looks confident. Even if he's not playing particularly well, he knows what he's got to try and do, and more often than not he sticks to his game plan. But out here on the clay, he does sometimes struggle, and you can see that throughout the week after the first match he's played well, he's timed the ball sweetly, and he's looked in control of his matches. But up against a real clay court specialist today in Coria, he certainly isn't as confident as perhaps he would want to be. And of course, when there's that element of doubt in your mind, then the first thing I think that suffers is the shot selection. And we saw in that last game there attempting a couple of shots that simply weren't on. He was out of position. Surely a recovery shot would have been better advised, but no, trying to change direction on the ball and giving 3 points away much too frequently. And of course that on play in particular can prove very, very costly.
Well, part of the job has been done again. 3 breaks to Coria in this game, in this set rather, and 2 to Agassi. So that last has given them the chance once again to try and serve it out. And remember how Agassi teed off and hit clean winners off one of those returns of serve on the forehand, and another blazing backhand winner. Coria will try to keep the ball deep to prevent that.
That ball certainly deviated, didn't it? A good 6 feet or so once it bounced. So some excellent footwork from Coria. Always advisable, if you do let a lob bounce, to keep lightly on the toes so that you can make any last-second adjustments. And of course they're imparting just a little bit of slice on the ball to keep the shot relatively high percentage.
That was close. That was close. There it is, look. Touched the line unquestionably. Let's have a look at TMI's version of it. Yes, did touch the line. Rather what we thought from the replay. And Coria getting all sorts of boos from the crowd.
Well, Agassi doesn't like the fact that Coria tried to massage the umpire and linesman by making the call himself. And now Coria complaining that before Agassi didn't give him the call on the serve early on in the match. But the competitors, the vast majority of them, don't like Coria for that very reason. He does try and influence the linesman, and it's poor.
It is a flaw in his character, no question. And the crowd now will get on his case. Unbelievable forehand from Coria. It really was the final shot he hit. Because Agassi, I think, thought he'd hit a winner.
30-15.
Well, he can cut the atmosphere with a knife out there now. Very, very big game.
I don't think she can actually enjoy hearing her husband jeered like that. But I'm afraid he deserved it. And you'll find the crowd now are going to cheer his mistakes. And that is also something that's not easy to bear when you're playing.
terrific combination there. The wide serve in order to open up the court, and then at the very last moment opening the racket face there. Agassi had absolutely no idea that was the shot that Coria was going to try and attempt.
Well, Coria was 5-4 in serving, never got to set point then, but here he is with one now. And a good serve when it mattered. Pocketing that opening set after 49 minutes. And the atmosphere now really electric here. Well, we're seeing it all today. Listen to this.
I have confirmation as well.
Well, he's not particularly well liked in the locker room, Coria, and it's obvious why. It's a shame because he's a tremendous tennis player, serving it very effectively in that opening set. 76% of first serves in and winning the vast majority of points when that happened. Just a few too many unforced errors at the latter stage of that opening set, but still very tidy. Only 9 in total and more winners, which is always healthy. Of course, he played the big points well, converting 3 of his 6 break points. Agassi, on the other hand, just too many unforced errors, and more often than not, it was when he was exposed at the back of the court with some poor movement, and I don't think he'd be particularly pleased with the quality of his serving either. So that's certainly areas of his game that he'll want to improve.
So some Coria winners for you now to enjoy from that first set. That was such an important serve that brought in that first set after such a tense exchange of breaks. You don't often see 5 breaks of serve in a set between the top men. Well, I suppose on clay occasionally you do that. Normally they'll take care of their service games.
Time.
And the shadow now almost across clear of the playing area. Not quite, but nearly. And I think Agassi, for one, will be mighty relieved. It'll be Agassi to start this set.
Segunda partita. Al servicio Agassi.
Second set.
Seduto.
Oops.
0-15, love 15.
He's almost played very well, Andre. Just a few expensive errors.
Once more, it's the movement up to the short ball which has been exposed. Doesn't like to slide, as most of the players would do if they were brought up on this particular surface. And just smothering the ball ever so slightly, not getting underneath it enough.
Got him again.
And it's not just the execution of the drop shot, it's the preceding shot that's so important. Coria here hitting the ball nice and deep, forcing Agassi wide and deep behind his own baseline, and then once the American had dropped the ball short, Coria was able to execute the drop shot. Super stuff.
Coria.
Well, things going from bad to worse for Agassi here. To lose your serve to love.
Segunda partida.
To concede it.
First game, second set.
2 or 3 errors in the course of that game. That sends the wrong message to your opponent.
Well, of course, it happened in the first set, but Agassi was able to bounce back straight away. But doesn't bode particularly well for his chances in this match, because Coria now will be extremely confident, having pocketed that opening set. And of course, he's got a pretty clear picture in his mind now of exactly what he wants to try and do with the game plan. He's keeping the ball nice and deep from the back of the court. Whenever Agassi drops it short, he's either using the big inside-out forehand or the little drop shot. It's working extremely well for him. And as long as he can keep serving effectively, he's got an excellent chance of getting the right result in this particular encounter.
Segundo servicio.
Well, he was quick enough coming forward that time. And the Agassi banners wave aloft.
0-15, love 15.
Be careful not to overdo these drop shots. It's always the trouble with getting into a pattern. Running out of ideas there.
He doesn't usually use the drop shot. It's not part of his armory, particularly when playing on other surfaces. So when he comes to clay, he does try and incorporate it occasionally, but it's not a natural shot. Not giving it enough air there, not opening the racket face enough to get the necessary trajectory over the net.
Quindici, 30, 15, 13.
Yes, doesn't help the cause, does it? Rally, didn't they? And a smile from Darren Cahill. There's a first.
Well, the crowd have been waiting for this moment for about 10 or 15 minutes since Coria tried to influence the linesman late in that opening set, and didn't they just love it? And why not? It was fantastic point as far as Agassi's concerned, for once getting the better of Coria in one of those little finesse rallies.
15, 40.
And a standing ovation there for the great man. 2 break points.
40. What?
Yeah, the crowd enjoyed. Oh dear. I enjoyed seeing Coria's serve called a fault. Wonderful return of serve, and he's back in business, just as at the start of the match. Break followed by break.
Well, it was a terrific return of serve, but it was a poor delivery from Coria. Once more, the quality of his serve has been under the closest of scrutiny, dropping the ball ever so slightly short, and Agassi, quite rightly, taking full advantage.
Primo servicio. Primo servicio. Quindici 0. 15 love.
Well, the crowd really now warming to the American. And they've been supporting him. They gave him a much louder cheer when the court announcer introduced him to the players, to the crowd. Cheers now. 40 love.
40-0. 40 love. Out.
Seems to me, ever since that question of the call, the last game of the first set, Agassi been in a different mood. 2-1.
Well, it's very interesting to take a slightly closer look at both players' rally hit points and the effectiveness of their particular shots. The red balls are the winners, and you can see the vast majority of the time it's when Agassi stands well up the court, takes the ball on the rise and plays aggressive. There's no doubt about the fact that Coria is trying to pepper Agassi's backhand. He does that the vast majority of the time when he's playing against a right-hander. But Agassi has been exposed. The green balls on the screen there are the shots that he's missed, and more often than not that's when he's put under pressure in terms of his movement. As far as the Argentine's concerned, well, I think we'll see that there's a distinct pattern emerging as far as Agassi's concerned, just trying to hit 50% of his shots or thereabouts to the Argentine's forehand and probably just a bit more to his backhand. But Coria is hitting the vast majority of his winners, as you would expect, when he's up the court, and when he's pushed extremely wide on the right-hand side of the screen or deep to his backhand, he's making a couple of unforced errors.
Well, now this is a moment when he's got to try and establish himself. Now that the shadow has gone, there's no more reason for finding his timing disturbed. Coria's last service game.
La 15. La 30.
Well, there are cheers every time Agassi wins a point now.
Quindici 15-30.
Going to give recovery in this particular game. Found himself in a bit of a hole at love 30. And again, nice shot selection. One of the most accurate hitters of the ball from the back, not the most powerful by any stretch of the imagination.
Coria.
A game that started promisingly for Agassi turned out to be a good one for Coria. 2-2 in the second set. And we've got a change of balls coming, so the players will probably change their rackets, both of them. Time for a little swing, strictly not supposed to, but they all seem to manage it, don't they? Just showing that it is time for the ball change.
La 15. Pari, 15.
was a cruel blow for Coria.
And it's been one of the brightest areas of Agassi's game, his ability to be able to take the ball on there. He was under considerable pressure because he was off balance, slightly wide of the single sideline, so full marks to him for being able to execute such a difficult shot.
Primo servizio.
Yes, screamed somebody.
I think that was you, Toby.
Someone in the crowd, though, was urging Agassi onward. Well, a rather patchy game there from Coria. Not competing in it at all. On serve we are with Agassi ahead 3-2.
Well, both players have really come to this particular match with different tactics on the return of serve. Coria, of course, standing just behind the baseline to return the vast majority of the first serves, but he's varied his tactics nicely when returning the second. On some of them, the deeper ones, he's let come to his forehand side and he's played a slightly higher shot with an awful lot of topspin, and others he stood right up to the baseline, tried to take them on the rise and be a little more aggressive. But of course he doesn't do that anywhere near as well as Agassi, and the American has certainly been as aggressive as possible whenever he's got to look at the second serve. Look at that, he's a good 3 or 4 feet inside the baseline to take the ball on, and of course he's cracked a tremendous amount of winning shots, and that's put an awful lot of pressure on Coria, who is serving shorter and shorter, particularly on the big points. So it is giving Agassi an opportunity to make the most of that.
Well, what a difference a few years makes. If you take your mind back to 1986 and the boy wonder who emerged from the Bolligieri Academy, that wore a white cap and through the back of it a ponytail which hung down the back of his neck. Then when he went to Australia for the first time, we had the pirate look with that bandana he wore. We only missed the pirate's parrot on his shoulder. That hurts when you've created the opening.
And of course, he has tried to dictate the vast majority of points, but Coria is an exceptional mover at the back of the court and did well to get that ball back in play, forcing Agassi to play that one extra shot in order to win the point, and just not putting enough spin on that particular forehand.
Well, I think Cahill would be quite pleased that at the moment Coria is looking just a bit lethargic. I mean, the last game he didn't play very well on the Agassi serve, and on this one, that last point suggested lethargy. Not moving his feet on that last one. Agassi, quite inspired.
Well, it certainly took Coria by surprise here. Again, he was out of position. I think the Argentine was expecting a defensive reply.
Well, look at that. Terrific tennis from the American, who seems to have found a new lease of life just as Coria is wilting a bit.
Agassi conduce 4-2, 4 games to 2.
So Agassi ahead with a break.
It's not easy playing in this particular arena when 99% of the crowd are against you. We've seen some fantastic matches down the years and some incredible atmospheres here. Of course, I think the vast majority of them would love to see this man get a win. And Coria really has no one to blame but himself.
La 15. Hot.
Giving him the old runaround now.
There's no doubt about the fact that Coria is a little intimidated here and he's not quite hitting the ball as aggressively as he did in the opening set. He's definitely just content to put the ball back in play. Agassi, of course, loves that because he's able to step up the court and dictate.
It's certainly not.
40-30.
It's certainly not the same Coria of the first set. He's somehow lost his way here.
The chance was there for Agassi. He'd set the point up very well indeed and usually loves changing direction on the ball, but just not timing the ball as sweetly as he would have wanted.
Well, the Coria of last year, I think, would have made a pass there. Slightly inhibited. So a cheer as the Agassi serve forces the error. And he takes a 5-2 lead, second set.
Secondo c'è 5-2.
You know what I think has happened here is that Coria is slightly embarrassed by that outburst about the line that got the booing, and Agassi is completely determined to show him that he's not going to get away with it.
I think you're absolutely right, and it's an area or flaw really in his character that needs improving or to be got rid of completely, because he's a tremendous tennis player, Coria. He's got so many terrific attributes that certainly doesn't need to have the crowd against him on such a big stage, because they should be applauding his tenacity and the way that he plays tennis. But he does definitely try and influence lines people. Other players in particular hate that. They'd much rather play to the call of the umpire, and particularly on clay when you can check marks. There certainly shouldn't be any kind of ill feeling between any of the competitors, but there certainly is out there today, and it's all worked in Agassi's favour.
Well, it's been the most beautiful week here, and today no exception. Clear blue skies and the sun departing behind the trees there. I think the players are pretty glad about that, because there's no longer any shadow on the playing area, and it was difficult for that period of about 45 minutes as it crept across. Certainly it affected Agassi's play.
He found it very difficult to time the ball midway through that opening set. I think he'll be very much more pleased with the situation at the moment.
And the scoreline, 2-5.
Zero, 15 love.
Well, he's snapped back into action, hasn't he?
And that's it, 13 love.
Well, even though it sounds a lot, it's just the one break of serve. Took the ball so early then. It was a good 6 or 8 feet inside the baseline, taking the ball on the rise and putting an awful lot of pressure on Coria's shoulders in order for him to try and get a first serve in to stop that happening again.
Probably worth the gamble, actually.
40-30.
And it's a shot that he pulls off a lot. Counter-hitting drive like that. Didn't work that time. 40-30. Yeah, that's too good. Well played, Coria. Sudden acceleration of the racket head, changing the pace on the rally, and staying in contention. It's
always advisable to try and hold serve, force the opposition to successfully serve for the set. Never easy, as we've seen throughout the week. Many have tried and many have failed.
I think Agassi is saying it wasn't out. Saving Mohamed Layali the trouble of coming off the chair. It's very interesting, isn't it?
That he shouldn't have attempted that drop shot in the first place. Doesn't want to get embroiled in these little rallies with Coria. The vast majority of the time there's only going to be one winner. Agassi should have played to his strengths perhaps, kept the ball going from the back of the court, played aggressively. That's what's got him in this situation in the first place, and they're really just playing into Coria's hands.
Love 30. Muttering away again, himself, chiding himself for these errors in this service game. Yes, got him again. Well, Agassi contributing to the loss of his serve there, I'm afraid. But Coria keeping his head beautifully in that last rally. But Agassi is still ahead, 5-4.
Well, that was a very important game, obviously, for Coria, and it was very interesting, his reaction, or lack of it, when he got the final breakthrough there. I don't think he wants to try and rile the crowd anymore. He just wants to get on with things, keep his head down, and try and get through this match. I think he did very well there, but you have to feel that he was really gifted that particular game. Unforced errors and poor shot selection from Agassi, something that we saw in the opening set. Coria, of course, has kept his game plan relatively simple. He's tried to get as many balls back into court as possible, try and keep the unforced error count as low as possible, something that he's been very successful with. Just 7 unforced errors in this particular set, 16 in total, so he's played a very solid match throughout. Whereas Agassi, of course, 12 now in this particular set, 31 in total for the match, and some of them coming at the most inopportune moments in that last particular game.
Time.
Now, he's earned the chance to take this to level games. Yeah, well played. That had to be played carefully. It was coming down very straight.
It was a terrific smash. A lot of players there would have let that one bounce because it was exceptionally high. Agassi did very well there, just using the one hand on the backhand. Full marks to Coria, just using enough wrist to get the ball to bounce just inside the baseline.
Well, he's full of purpose again. He looked sluggish, I think is the word I would use, in the middle part of the set, when he lost his serve and was trailing, but he's back to full purpose again now.
And very intelligently, just taking a little bit of pace off that first serve in order to get it in.
bested it finally. What a pity for Coria. But electrifying pace about the court.
And he did incredibly well to stay in the rally as long as he did. That was lovely touch by Agassi under pressure, but look how Coria managed to get that ball back and then anticipated the fact that Agassi was going to try and go down the line to meet him, so he moved swiftly to his left and only just overhit the volley. Terrific stuff from both players.
Fighting himself, he is.
40-15.
Cahill, I think, will be a little disappointed that Agassi hasn't got a look at any second serves in this particular game. Coria has yet to win a point in this particular set. Went down to his weaker delivery.
Just a fault. He'll accept it. I don't think he's going to query any more calls. Well, it's still on a knife edge, this set. Look at this. What an angle from Agassi. 40-30. Goodness me, what was that? Tension?
Well, he knows that he's under so much pressure. Still has yet to win a point in this set when he's down to his second serve. Such is the quality of the Agassi return.
Oh, that's better. This is ridiculous, he's thinking. Carla with a sweater on now. So yeah, that's more like it, Coria. And Agassi obliging with another error to make it 5-all second set. Well, it's a case of chances lost, really, in this match.
Loves executing the forehand. Good footwork into his left in order to give himself enough room to be able to play his favourite shot.
It was actually the right shot. It was there. Taking, and his two-handed backhand down the line is such a reliable weapon normally. Well, I see a bit of anxiety on the face of Cahill now. Doesn't give much away though. A nervous twitch. He always has to have the ball kids in exactly their right stations. Coria hoping now that Agassi is going to attempt too much. Playing very sensibly again, Coria.
It has happened throughout the match. In patches, Agassi is made a flurry of unforced errors, which has hurt his cause.
Oh my goodness. Well, here goes the decision. Just out. Good call. Guillermo agrees. 2 break points. Well, he made that look ridiculously easy.
And if you live by the sword, sometimes you die by it, but Agassi's going to continue to be aggressive whenever he has the opportunity to do so. And that's a pattern of play that he loves to use.
Early ball hitting of supreme skill.
Just sheer weight of shot working in Agassi's favour on that particular occasion.
See, the dilemma for him is, should he take a risk on balls that are just about hittable, because so often they're too deep to take risks, or should he just play the ball back, hope that Agassi overhits, gives him the point? It's a dilemma. Advantage Agassi. Good judgment this time. Agassi allowing the ball to fly long. Cahill can stand up with relief and just have a stretch, and the fans can support their man. 6-5 to Agassi, second set.
It's a bit lonely out there at the moment, Coria. Understandably so, but he's done exceptionally well in this second set to try and get back into it. Remember, he was 5-2 down, but having worked so hard to get back into the set, he'll want to try and make the most of it. Agassi, of course, still with a little bit of work to do. Having played so well in this set, he's continued to take chances. He's executed the forehand very well indeed. He's stepped up the court inside the baseline whenever he's had the opportunity to do so. Of course, saving those 2 break points in that last game.
Well, that's that time of day when they've had to turn on the floodlights as the daylight fades. They like to let the artificial lighting take over gradually so that the players will grow into the slightly less bright conditions. But they're good, these floodlights. 5-6. Well, you could hear it hit the line. Makes a different noise.
15 love.
Oh, well played. He's actually hit his overhead sensibly, has Coria today. Caught by his own sort of tactic of a very early taken ball down the line by Coria. Lovely shot. Well, it very much looks then as if a tie break is going to decide this second set, and who knows, perhaps the match. Oh, lovely play. He's thinking very clearly now. There was a time of confusion mentally, it seemed to me, earlier in this set, but not now. And that ace from Coria, just a second of the day, does produce the tiebreak. Well, the tiebreak records are there for you, both positive ones. Agassi's with a slightly better average. Well, I think the statistics will tell us that something like 60% of tiebreaks are won by the person who wins the first point. I don't know whether that's a bad sign for Agassi or not. Too good again. Caught him anchored behind the baseline.
And just adding enough slice on the ball for it on contact with the court to bounce back towards the net. Just giving Agassi just a little bit more court to cover, and the aging American unable to do so.
No call, and he nods in the end, acknowledging that yes, it did hit the line. So that's a third ace, following close on the last point of the 12th game. Well, these are must-win points for Agassi now. Well, the frustration is absolutely immense now for Agassi. He's tried so hard to discipline his game and pick the right shots to hit, but the error's now hurting him badly. There's a difference of 20 unforced errors between them now. 38 for Agassi, 18 for Coria. Played Coria, too good.
And crucially, there's only a difference of one winning shot as well in Agassi's favour, and that's not a great ratio. Coria here with some excellent hands, some great anticipation, and he has smashed well today. He hasn't got the biggest or fastest smash in the game, but it's accurate and it gets the job done.
Well, you'd think now that this is almost the end for Agassi. 9 points in a row the Argentine has won. Well, that's 10 now, and well, 6 set points in a row. Won't be easy, will it?
Certainly won't, and it's really strange atmosphere now at the end of the match because they were so behind Agassi for much of it. Coria has done exceptionally well, cut out his unforced errors at the end of this set, and he's worked very hard for this advantage. But the crowd now trying to get behind their favourite, but it would be one of the greatest victories of his illustrious career if he was to come back from this situation.
It certainly would. Coria has the second of his pair of service points here to try for the first of his match points. But that's it, it's all over. Well, muted applause, one has to say, for the Coria victory here, done in straight sets. 7-5, 7-6. It spanned an hour and 46 minutes of rather tense tennis. Some very inspired shot-making at times, but a rather ragged win for Coria. Still struggling to find the form that made him the king of clay last year, but at least he has the satisfaction of knowing that for the first time in Rome, he's in the final.
And you can see it's a mixture of delight and relief because he didn't play his best tennis, but he still signs off as our winner. And Agassi, of course, was the firm favourite of the crowd in the match. And he departs. Who knows whether we'll see him in this particular arena again? One certainly hope so.
Well, he's put his heart and soul into this tournament. And knowing that he needed the match play to prepare properly for the French Championships, he had to be here, and he's made a terrific impression. I haven't seen him play much better on clay for a while, and he lost today to one of the men who really know their business on this surface.
And it's the second time, of course, he's lost to Coria on clay, although he has defeated him numerous times on a hard court. Didn't serve as well as he would have wanted, the American. If that first serve percentage could have been a little higher, perhaps even in the mid-60s, I think it would have made life an awful lot easier for him. You can see he's only winning 37% of points when he's down to his second serve. And too many unforced errors, really, 40 in total. And Coria only 18. That, of course, is the basis of his game plan, to try and play as consistently as possible from the back of the court. And incredibly, Coria just one less winner than Agassi, 28 to 29. So that's really why Coria was able to do so well. And after the first set, he really improved his serving statistics too. But Agassi, of course, getting after Coria's second serve, that's something that the Argentine will have to improve when he takes on Nadal in the final tomorrow. So it was an exciting match. It was just a shame that Agassi fell away towards the latter stages.
So the grand old man of tennis has departed. Defeated, but certainly not disgraced. Coria marches on. Let's look now at some of the highlights. The relief there on the face of Coria, clear to see as he struggles to regain that extraordinary form of last year, which I don't think he has quite yet, but at least he is through to a first final here, and tomorrow he'll take on Nadal. And I think it's appropriate that Spain and Argentina, the two nations that are thoroughly dominant in men's tennis just now, should be playing each other in the final tomorrow. So there we are, confirming the results. If you weren't with us earlier, Rafael Nadal struggled to beat his fellow Spaniard, David Ferrer, who fought wonderfully well, but was eventually defeated 4-6, 6-4, 7-5. And we've just seen Guillermo Coria turning back the challenge of Agassi, 7-5, 7-6. So for tomorrow, that is the lineup, and it will start, you'll note, at 3:30 p.m. local time. Check your local guides for the time in your area. For Jason Goodall, I'm John Barrett, hoping that you've enjoyed our coverage from Rome today, and looking forward to your company once again on finals day.